Make sure to subscribe to Ben on YouTube so you can stay up to date on everything Humble.
Welcome back. It's your boy, Ben Humble. Today, I've got an amazing conversation for everybody at home. Listen, if you're interested in growing a brand, a personal brand, a corporate brand, today is going to be an amazing conversation for you that I'm going to love to get you plugged in. And I've got a really amazing guest today, a guy I've been following for a while, super talented. And you all know me, I'm a musician, so I like talented people. That's my kind of person. So I want to bring on somebody, Robert Syslo. This guy is like, dude, super talented, understands branding. He's a beast when it comes to marketing. And if that, again, that's your cup of tea, it's so important to understand this stuff. I didn't learn this stuff until later on in life. And, I was already doing business and work prior to learning about branding. And I wish I would have learned this stuff years and years ago. So I'm very happy to bring him on. Without further ado, let's bring on my man, Mr. Robert Syslo, in the house. Hey, man, how's it going, my pal?
How's it going, buddy?
Good, man. Good. You're very welcome. Thanks for being here, dude. It's going to be an awesome conversation. I'm seeing 2 or 3 of you here. We're live on a couple of different platforms, so that's awesome. So, Rob, dude, your company, Syslo Ventures, you guys do all kinds of marketing for big names. I've seen you kind of help some big names in there really grow and scale, folks that are, kind of well-known household names. And the thing I want to know before we jump into all that stuff, dude, is how did you get interested in all this stuff? I'm just so curious on the backstory, if you could tell us.
Yeah, I've been doing this since I was probably 14 years old. We had a little project we had to do in high school, and it was to film the 1960s. And so we filmed that, acted in it. It was what it was. But I took it to the media team at my high school, and I watched them edit this thing together. And I said, you know what? That's what I want to do the rest of my life. So what I did was I joined the media department 6 months later, and immediately started revamping everything, making things look cool, flashy, exciting. I don't like boring things. I like exciting and aesthetically pleasing things. So I traveled around right out of high school. I got an internship in New York City. So I'm from Jersey originally, in the film industry. And I'll never do that again. I just started building my own portfolio. I was a production assistant.
Okay.
So which means I got everybody coffee at 3 a.m. till 3 a.m. So it was great.
Is that why you wouldn't?
I learned.
Is that why you wouldn't? Is that why you wouldn't do it again? They just made you a runaround person?
Yeah, it was. I didn't really see the value in doing that, and I didn't like being degraded that much. I have a lot of personal integrity, so it was a good experience to see how things operated. But I'm a little more of an ambitious individual. So after that, I moved to New Mexico in 2008. That's when the tax incentives were huge at that time. So film industry was there. Breaking Bad was there. Thor was being filmed there. No Country for Old Men. All these things were happening.
Right.
But I couldn't quite penetrate the film industry. So I found a job with an online company called Turn Here. And what they would do is they would hire filmmakers in local cities across the planet. Mm-hmm. They would say, hey, this place needs you to go make a video. Go do this. You got paid really small amount of cash, but I was 19.
Okay.
And I was like, here's a great opportunity for me to build my portfolio. So I went from having 0 production experience to having 60 ads produced in 30 days.
Awesome.
So the turnaround time on that was, 24 hours, go shoot, come back, edit, put it up. And that was that. But what I thought was really cool, I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't know I was doing advertising. I didn't know I was doing branding. I didn't know I was doing any of that stuff until many years later when I was working for an entrepreneur. And that's what it was. I was like, oh my God, we're doing marketing. Okay, this is branding. These were the terms I started to hear, and I didn't really have an understanding of it. But I'd been doing that for clients across the United States and as far as China and the Caribbean for the past 6 or so years. And so,
by the way, if you guys are interested in real estate investing and you are in Canada, I wrote a book here called Real Estate Secrets Exposed. Learn how to actually make money virtually, which is cool, from the comfort of your home. Yes, it is possible if you understand the value and how to do wholesaling. And if you don't know anything about wholesaling, you need to grab this book. It's absolutely free. There's no page numbers. There's nothing else in there. It's just ready to go, though. Humble.co to grab your free copy.
I was an artist. I was someone that loved aesthetics. I love music. I heard you say you started in music, but for me, everything I do starts with music. It's got to have the right hit. It's got to have the right beat. It's got to have the right energy to match what I'm doing. And, so I developed the craft from there, but the only thing I didn't know how to do was sell. So I was always kind of being this employee guy. And, I was afforded an opportunity to learn sales. And when I meshed that with the arts and I meshed that with branding, it became explosive and scaled the company while I worked for this other entrepreneur up until I was ready to leave and went out on my own. That was about 2 years ago now. And we've got about, we've got 350 clients around the world. I'm reaching like 2.3 million people a month. We're producing anywhere from 60 to 70 video ads a week on top of websites and graphics and coaching that we do. So there's a lot to be said for branding and promotion.
Dude, I love that. That's awesome. So let me touch on a couple of things you talked about, because I love to dissect this. You get me excited over here, man. I'm about to drop some whatever I got. I got some bombs. I got all kinds of stuff here today, man. We're gonna get into it. So a lot of very talented musical people, artistic people out there, and I started that way in life too. And I was like, I'm just gonna play music my life. I don't know how I'm gonna make money, but I'll just figure it out along the way. So when you take that and you get into sales as a business, and I know what you're saying because I understand, I've been through that correlation, it becomes powerful because it's almost like you see the vision, you understand what most people will never understand, is how you connect music, entertainment, and sales together. If you can't keep them engaged, you can't keep them entertained, you're not going to sell them. So maybe would you talk about that kind of skill set or mindset of combining the two? I'd love for you to touch on that a little bit further.
Yeah. So for me, when it comes to creating any piece of content, first of all, what my company does is we solve communication problems for companies and individuals, right? Mm-hmm. We go in and we analyze the person, we analyze everything connected to that individual. We do a full deep dive. And a lot of people will say that, but I have to know you as well as you know you, okay, to be able to brand you effectively and have you communicate effectively across the board, right? So once we identify those principles or those identity factors, there's no formal term. I'm sure people got a term for that. I just keep it simple because I'm simple.
Amen.
The point of that is that now I'm like, all right, so I have to capture your attention. I have to keep you excited. I have to keep you entertained. And a lot of it is, I remember maybe 6 years ago, before I really took this seriously, I would see video ads and ads that got approved, and I'd be like, these are Fortune 5,000, these are high companies. And I'm like, who approved this? Who gave the authority to say that this was a good idea? And, so I wanted to kind of bring more of an edgy, exciting flair. And people have tried to copy me. They've tried to copy the style, but there's a very specific way that I go about doing it. Mm-hmm. And I teach people how to do it when you're working one-on-one with me. But, it's just identifying the individual and matching that level with the person. Then you take that a step further, and then you look at it from the standpoint of like, all right, well, I have customers and I have potential buyers. I've got people that may not buy today, but they may buy 2 weeks from now. So when you apply the logic of a sales process, which encapsulates the entire greeting, fact-finding, follow-up, all the way to the close, I'm like, well, let's translate that entire process over to a marketing experience, right? So how do we fact-find in marketing? How do we fact-find in sales? How do we fact-find? How do you do that with video? How do you do that with content? And that's where we come into play. So blending that together, obviously there's the excitement factor, but there's also an intention behind it. It's not mindless promotion. It's not, let's just blow this up to blow this up. It's very thoughtful when we go into this and literally saying to ourselves, all right, so if this person is going to communicate X, Y, and Z, how is that going to be received by the other people on the other side? So when I talk, I'm thinking about how that's being received. I don't talk just to talk. I talk because I have a purpose behind what I'm saying, right? And I'm expecting that the people on the other side of this, I'm trying to take responsibility for all viewpoints there and cover that when I communicate. So when you blanket that together with both, content and the arts and the music and the visuals, you get this really exciting experience. And people are like, what is going on? What is that guy doing? And that's how
We came to Canada in 1991 with nothing but a will to thrive. They risked everything they had, left behind everyone they knew.
The only way out of the country was illegal, and the risk was huge.
I adopted the mindset that my parents had of faith and vision for my life. You see, they helped me understand that you get to decide what happens in this world. By the age of 30, I became a millionaire. I refused to accept scarcity, limiting beliefs, or someone else's excuses. So you want to know what the secret is? People ask me all the time, what's the secret? You want to know what it's going to take for you to succeed? Here's the truth. And they can't explain it, dude. It's powerful because it's an art and a science. And I think what people like you do for the world is that you bridge the gap between this kind of transaction versus relationship with the person. And I think what people don't understand, something my pastor said one time is like, music has the ability to reach the corners of the soul where the spoken word cannot. And that never left me, right? The ability to reach the soul. I believe that music and the arts, that's what it does, is it's able to connect people beyond, the monotone language, the words on the page, whatever. Because you've seen those ads, right? Come on, Rob. I mean, you haven't done them, but you've seen those ads like, hey, if you want to get this product here, just buy it today. And there's no real effort. There's no whatever. And you're losing everything. Like, you're losing the person, their attention. You're not memorable. Music itself, I believe the music and what you do in the presentation of the information is almost greater than the information, because that's why a company like McDonald's will sell so many hamburgers, and they don't make the best hamburger out there, but they've got the best process and the best, marketing around selling hamburgers. So what do you think about that? We call it the intangible and intangibles. Maybe a relationship. How important are the intangibles in relation to the information?
Intangibles, you mean things like products that we can't touch? Is that what you're referring to?
I'm saying like the music and the way that it's done and the artistic flair behind the messaging behind it.
Well, you're talking about stuff that you can't touch it. You can't. How do you quantify it? You can't even. It's all emotional stuff. But we're using a perception, right? Yeah. So we have sight and we have sound, and then when you combine the two of those things together, you get this emotional experience, right? So artists, we can see things that aren't there. Yeah. We can create things that aren't there. We can imagine things that don't exist. And when you have an entrepreneur that's got a bajillion thoughts running around in their head and they're trying to create an image and they're trying to communicate what it is that they offer, artists have the ability to grab those things, package them up, and sell that to the public in a way that's very understandable. I mean, even right down to language. I mean, I avoid all fancy high-tech language because I don't want to lose anybody. I don't want to confuse anybody. Yeah. And I don't follow anybody that does that. Because promotion should solve problems. It shouldn't confuse anyone. I should walk away after what I watch or what I see or what I experience saying to myself, you know what? That felt good. You know what? I can use that information today. You know what? That's easy to instantly apply. If I walk away from something and I'm confused, or I feel worse off, or I feel bad, or I'm like, this doesn't seem right. If any of those things start to fire, to me, I don't know about anybody else, but this is what I train people to do, is that, the credibility of that individual drops significantly for me. I don't care who it is. I don't care how much money they have. I don't care what their power is. I don't care what their influence is, right? I'm a very logical individual, and we approach that both through the arts and we approach that through what we're communicating. We base everything on logic. It has to make sense. It has to be simple, and it has to be able to be applied immediately.
Dude, it's so clear that way. So let me ask you this, because I want to kind of go down this train here. We get this idea of sales, Robert, where people are selling. And I think sometimes this idea of sales is, how do you package things in a way that'll convince somebody or whatever. Where does this idea of transparency come in? Because I see different spectrums. I see the people that are so blunt, so honest, so transparent, it's almost repelling, but they gain favor with the audience because they're willing to be so raw and real. And then I see other people who obviously just make shit up. And they're just like, this is my offer. This is who I am. I'm amazing. No, you don't. Like, you rented a Lambo, you stood in front of it, you took a picture, and now you're selling whatever you're selling, but it's not authentic. It's not the truth. How important is that to you as, a leader in this space?
Well, I hate the word transparency because everybody uses it blindly and they don't really do the time or the research or the actual content creation to really explain what transparent means, right? Okay. So for me, when a client says we're the most transparent in the space, I'm like, transparent in relation to what? Well, we're the most transparent in this. Okay, well, how are you transparent? We have to go that far to really see what that is. And you'd be surprised. People that say it don't even know what it means, right. And they can't even really regurgitate, or not, I don't want to use the word regurgitate, but quantify that word, transparent. So when you do promotion or you do content or you do stories or you do things like this, like the way that I'm talking to you right now is the same way I am on Instagram stories, the same way I am with my clients. Like there's no shift. This is just what it is. Right. And I shouldn't have to say to someone, I'm transparent. I should just act and be and that's enough.
Yeah.
Right. If I have to go out and proclaim something because I believe that saying it's going to make you understand it more, then I'm obviously feeling a little bit inadequate in my own transparency. That's a t-shirt right there.
Dude, I'm giving you a bomb for that one. That's a bomb right there, man. I like it. Keep going on this thought. I need to keep going on this. This is good.
Yeah. So when that's the first thing that I analyze is, okay, you said you're transparent. You said you're authentic. Everybody says that. Everybody says that. And it's so overdone that there's nothing that's going to distinguish me from you. I'm distinguished for me from you to this other person. And so that's why I encourage, and we do a deep dive, and we look even the corniest things that you think are dumb, that you think are stupid, or you think nobody likes, or you whatever. Like, that's the stuff that distinguishes you. I got a picture of DeLorean behind me. Like, I couldn't find a good picture. I love Back to the Future, right? But I'm also a business professional. So there's things that I have in my world that I showcase because that's who I am. I'm not trying to fabricate anything. I mean, yeah, could you go rent a Lambo? Cool. But I mean, again, something that's overdone. You have an audience that's anesthetized. So fancy cars and jets. And I mean, look, we all want those things. I like those things. But that's not really the main reason that I'm trying to sell someone a product. And if I can get you to buy because you see a Lambo in my promotion, it's probably not a long-term business thing that I want anyway. What I really want is someone that's got an ethical product, that does what they say, that makes deliverables, that shows up every single day, showcases what they're doing every single day, day in and day out. And that substantiates and lasts far longer than that $400 Lambo rental or the Lambo that you can afford to buy. See, because now we're talking about different levels here, right? So the guy that can afford the Ferraris and Lamborghinis and all this stuff and the Rolls Royces, I mean, they're living at a level that's way above the average individual that's on social media. And what you don't want to do, and I did a video about this, and this correlates to your question about transparency, but you don't want to alienate yourself from your audience. Right. So even if, let's say you've got those nice things, yeah, I think it's cool to say, yeah, I've got this, but that's not your main thing.
Right.
Your main thing is what it is that you worked, till 2 o'clock in the morning to be able to afford that thing. Or you helped 2,000 people, or you helped 10,000 people. How did you do that? Show me the journey, show me the process, because then I think you have the right to, you don't even have to say it. It's pretty clear that you're transparent. It's pretty clear that you're authentic, and people can tell when you're speaking from who you really are versus assimilating somebody else's language. I know entrepreneurs that take somebody else's words, somebody else's ideas, somebody else's names for things, build events out of those names, build products out of those names, but somebody else already said it. And I'm like, what are we doing? Like, what is this? This is like, for me, I mean, that pertains to me, and I'm not making people wrong at that, but we're losing the individual. And that's where marketing and promotion fails, is the second that I can't see who you really are, is the second you're not, quote unquote, transparent.
I see. Okay. So I like this. Let's keep going on this topic. This is cool. So you get people out there who are essentially, and transparent for lack of better words, but they're taking other people's board ideas, or they're straight up ripping them off. They're claiming them as their own. They really are not part of their unique identity, but they're using them as a sales pitch, as a leveraging tool, or something to create and further. So here's my question. Hasn't everything already been pretty much said? Like, I'll give you some examples. We have Think and Grow Rich, and then we have all this mindset stuff, and then The Secret, and then this, and then this, and then 10X, and all the, like, a part of me thinks that pretty much everything's already been said in one capacity or another, but, as generation to generation, the new, kind of generational gaps in language and whatever, the same ideas kind of get spit out in new fashion, and somebody lives through them, and then they have a new label on it. That label becomes a movement, but it's part of a movement that may have already pre-existed. Do you think there's ever anything new out here in like the world of marketing, or is it just essentially relabeling some of the stuff through other people's experiences? I'd love your take on this, man, because it's a little confusing for me, because I feel like it's been done. Like, there must have been some dude in the Babylonian age who was like, hey, do more, do better, right? And then from there, like, spawned all this other stuff, right? So what do you think, man? And feel free to disagree with me if you like, but I'd love your opinion on this.
Well, that's a really great question, and I like that you brought that up. So, I mean, I go back to the person, right? So I go back to the individual that's saying that, right? And I know the first instinct when you don't know enough about your own services and your products and even yourself, like promotion's a long-term self-discovery play, both for yourself and for the business. But, you know, as you start to do this, you have to identify what I call as the illogical that exists inside of an industry or inside of a space, right? So if someone's saying something and it seems a little bit off, it's probably because there's an illogical thing in there, right? Now, why would somebody buy from you? Why would somebody listen to this podcast? Because how many people have done this podcast already? I can turn the question right back around to you. How many people are doing the same exact thing you're doing? But the point of the matter is, though, is that Ben is Ben, and Ben has a personality. Ben has viewpoints. Ben has a certain emotion connected to him. Ben has a certain experience that he provides. Ben has something different in the way that he presents himself that would make me want to watch him. Now, you don't have to be super extroverted to do this. You don't have to have a Ferrari to do this. All you really need to have is you. But see, we think that we have to assimilate this thing and become something that, you know, ends up hurting us in the long run, because now you're fabricating this false identity that then you have to keep up. I'm like, no, who are you? Okay, let's talk to you. Let's talk about you. Now, to answer your question directly about new content or new things out there, I think what it is that there are improvements that are made on things that have been discovered by other people, of which somebody improves on and does a better job of it. And if that was not the case, then nobody would be in business, right? I mean, we had taxis, and then Uber was like, hey, what if we just put this on an app and we send this to your house? Right. Improvement. Right. Kind of been done already, but improvement. Okay, we had delivery. I mean, I'm using this as like a very generic thing. We could probably go into an hour-long discussion, but trying to answer your question, I look at it as an improvement. If you're going to go into business, you're going into business because your product improves lives. If you're going to promote, it's because it improves something somewhere along some line that somebody hasn't really gone all the way and discovered yet, or somebody hasn't fully hashed out yet. Then if you can find that little piece, that's why I would do business with you, right? So I think that answers your question. Do I like I run a marketing and promotion agency. Anybody and their grandmother can do a marketing and promotion agency, unfortunately. But that was my problem. When I left, I had a non-compete, couldn't promote, all these agencies out there. Now I'm on my own. What is it that I'm going to do to separate myself out to get clients in a space that, number one, is riddled with unethical people. Number two, that's riddled with things that just don't work. And number three, burns a lot of business owners. So before I even start, I've got 3 strikes against me. Yeah. You know what I mean? So where does that come into play? And I'll tie this back to your transparency question. I just started showing up every day, showing exactly what I was doing, my own viewpoints, my own experiences. And believe it or not, never once, I'll tell you a story, you know, I ran out of cash like 4 months into being on my own. I was trying these 2 other ventures. They were way off purpose and it didn't work. Ended up costing me a lot of money in the long run. Anyway, I remember my rent was due. I think I had like $1,000 in my bank account. My rent was $3,300. It's more now, but at the time I was like, we're going to die. And so what I did was I said, all right, what do I know? What does Robert Syslo know? And obviously it's video. I mean, that's where I started. Everything else is a byproduct of that. But I just went back to the basics and I just said, let's pick this one thing. Let's dive deep in this and start expanding this out and talk about Robert Syslo's knowledge, experience, and what he's observed. I immediately made 15 grand in like 72 hours. And then I scaled my company to 150,000 in 60 days. So and that was all done without asking a single person to buy any products from me. Then what I did was I inadvertently found a solution to a marketing problem in that. And then I said, okay, cool. Let me hash this out even further. Cut to a year and a half, 2 years later, here we are. And now we're a thriving organization. We got 300 clients around the world. We've got 350 plus. We've got 6 employees, and we're helping some large brands grow and expand. I got $1 billion organization. I train 700 people a week, close to that on promotion. So, I mean, is it something new? No, it's still promotion. The fundamental principle is there, but the execution is different. And that's where I think improvements can be made. And that's where I think companies are distinguishing themselves. What's the improvement that exists?
That's such a well-articulated way of clarifying that, because if I'm gonna go back and touch on this one more time before we move on here. But my gut feeling, Robert, is that we've got, so some farmer somewhere has thought about this idea, but I think he'd failed to materialize it. He'd failed to get out there and market the idea, and then somebody else had the similar idea. They constructed it further, but what they did is they vocalized it in a meaningful way, and they created a movement around that same ideology. So I don't know if people are like coming up with it. As soon as they come up with it, it's out into the world, because everybody else says, dude, that was my idea. I thought about Tesla before Tesla thought about Tesla, but you failed to materialize. You failed to act on it. You failed to take action and execute on that. So maybe could you give us some guidance or some insight? Once you have an idea or a brand, or like, how important to you is the action? Or do they need to go through a refinement period? Or is it a ready, fire, aim approach? Take action and figure it out as you go. Otherwise, the next guy is going to come in with the same idea, improve on it, and maybe you're going to be, second in line. What do you think about that whole ready, fire, aim approach to business and personal branding?
I love that. And I want to say a few things about what you just said there.
Sure.
This whole idea of this, this guy's going to take it.
Yeah.
Oh, this guy's going to do it. Why are you even worrying about that? What does that have to do with anything? So what? Who cares? Let him do it. What if you have your idea? You have your deal. Okay. Now we could talk about this probably for 2 hours straight, but I mean, I don't look at what anybody else does. I don't care. I really don't. I'm happy that they're playing their game. I'm happy that they're winning, but me watching them does not grow my company. It does not pay my bills. It does not help my clients. It does not help my customers.
Amen.
What helps is how strong am I? How focused am I? How much am I developing on my own products and services? So I don't even have that thought that somebody's going to take something from me. It's not even in my universe, because if that's how it's going to be, fine. Well, that's a criminal. So let them go be a criminal. I'm not a criminal. You want to take? Go ahead. Be a criminal. That's what you are for the rest of your life, a criminal. So let's just clarify that one thing. Now, the second thing you said was about this materialization thing. It's not even about materializing anything. It's about communication. Did you communicate about what you have to offer? And that's what promotion is. When I give my talks, the talk is actually called On Promotion and Communication. Why? Because promotion comes from the ability to, as you said, vocalize the points of what it is that I know, the points of what it is that I can bring to the table, the points that I can solve problems within a space or a marketplace, multiple problems, not just one. But most of all is that I even just showed up and communicated. So do I have to have a super refined thing? No. Do I have to have a high class thing? No. Do I have to have everything perfect? No. You just need to start talking. Okay, because as you start to promote, and I've seen this happen over and over and over again with all the clients I have. When they first start, they get a little dispersed and they're like, I don't know where to begin. It doesn't make sense. That wasn't good. I can't watch myself. Can't do this. Can't do that. 2 weeks go by and all of a sudden they're like, I really understand my business. There's a product that I could add that I didn't even think about. Oh my God, I didn't even have this as a solution for customers. See, what happens is you're forcing yourself to actually see what you're doing. And promotion makes you do two things. It really reinforces what your business is, or you say, damn, I don't know enough and I got to go back to the drawing board and really reinforce this. So if you're going to get up and communicate, you got to know your game. You got to know your products, got to know your services, and you got to know how you solve all those problems for customers. But do you have to have it perfect to start? Not at all. The action of starting the process is more important than somebody like, I know someone who's like, we need to plan all this out. We need to map it out. We need to write everything down. We got to put all this in first. Meanwhile, we're not making any income. The business is failing.
Yep.
Everybody's going hungry. And I'm like, freaking take the shotguns, take the cannonballs, put them out front, start firing everything we got. We got to go. The ship is going down. Let's start talking. This is insane. Why are you on Excel?
Yeah.
Let's go outside. Let's talk to people. Excel ain't going to pay the bills today.
That's right, man.
We can do Excel after we pay the bills.
Dude, hold on. I got to hit you. Keep going. I just had to do that. Forget Excel, man. Keep going. Keep going. This is awesome, bro. Keep going. I love this.
You know what I mean? But that's logical.
Yeah.
Right? The ship is sinking, okay? And you're trying to drive the ship. You're like, I'm going to go in the back and I'm going to paint the back wall because that sounds like the right thing to do. It's totally illogical. It's like, no, I need to communicate. I need people to know I'm there. I need people to know that I got products and services. I need to share my viewpoints so I exist in the marketplace. And the last thing I'll say about this is that what promotion actually does is that I don't care how many people exist in the space, the more that you can get it going, the more that you actually make room for yourself. Like you start to create your own little universe. You said, I don't know what you said, like a culture or following. I'm not out there to try to create a following. I'm not out there to try to create a culture. I'm just creating a space that people can come in and out of at any place, at any time that they want, learn something and leave or stay. That's it. And if I have that kind of open attitude about it, now I'm talking about the ability to reach anyone at any time.
Make sure to subscribe to Ben on YouTube so you can stay up to date on everything Humble, featuring daily episodes of the Humble Podcast and weekly video content providing motivation, real estate strategies, and personal development for everyday life. Also, follow Ben on Facebook and Instagram for daily interactions. Check out humble.ceo and download a chapter of Ben's new book, From Communism to Capitalism, absolutely free.
Powerful. This is powerful, man. I love this stuff, dude. You're getting me amped up here. So let me ask you this, because you're touching on some stuff, and I'm going to be transparent. I'm going to remove that word from the vocabulary today, just so we know.
Yeah, just don't use the word transparent.
I'm going to be direct. Direct. So I used to struggle with this whole competition versus collaboration thing. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm a real estate investor. Everybody's a real estate investor. I'm going to come into this marketplace and I'm going to have to fight in this, red pool of competition until I read the book Blue Ocean Strategy, which basically says just do your own thing. So what I recognized recently, like the reason we put this show together, one of them was I was like, dude, just create. Create something every day and stop consuming. So many of us are consuming other people's content and other people's opinions and other people's, discretion that we become a part of their reality versus us just staying in our own identity and our own reality. So I'm under the firm belief that people just need to create, especially right now with scarcity. You're at home, you're afraid, you lost your job. What do I do? You're sitting at home, you're bored. I believe every human has the ability to create because we're made by a creator. What do you think, man? Do you think people should create more individually? Or what's your take on this? I'd love to have your opinion.
Yeah, I mean, I love what you said there about, consuming and people watching the news and all the craziness that's happening. All that's designed to stop you. All that's designed to do is to stop you from moving, to stop you from creating. And if you can get into a position where you're like, I'm not going to accept that, and you start firing off into the space, I did a post out about how I don't watch any news. I don't look at anything about anything. Yeah, I was aware that the situation happened, obviously, like how could I not be? But I don't spend time on it. I'm like, all right, cool. Unless that damn thing is crawling up the 19th floor, over my banister, into my house, I'm not going to worry about it because it's going to do nothing for my income. It's going to do nothing for my employees. It's going to do nothing for the clients that need me to help them. Yeah. So whatever space or business that you're in, you have to kind of almost disagree with people that are like, everything's shutting down. This is going to end. It's all going to be bad. Okay. You could go in, you can agree with that and experience that, or you could say, all right, I'm going down. I'm getting out the flamethrower and I'm going to fire everything off. And we're going to go out in a blaze of glory. You know how much I love my explosions and my electricity and all that stuff. Like, I just don't play with it. I don't go into it because it has no bearing on the situation that I'm in today. Yeah. I'm confronted with the same problem everybody else was confronted with at the end of March. I had a huge pipeline and it went, and I was like, okay, now we got to really out-create this. All right, what am I going to do? All right, I'm going to turn up the volume. I'm going to spend some money on ads. Not a lot. Okay, if I got $2,000 to spend, let's go. Whatever, something to just start the flow going. And what did that result in? All that action, all that productivity resulted in the highest month in my company's history last month. Boom. Highest ever. Middle of an epidemic, middle of an economic crisis, had the highest month ever in my business. Everybody's paid. All the employees are paid. Everybody's getting products. Second thing I would do right now, especially now, and I love what you said about the create thing you said, is that doubling down and reinforcing on the things within the company that need to be reinforced, now would be the time to do it, okay? Take 4 hours of like, where are we weak? Where do I need to reinforce this structure? That's what I did. My vice president, Damon, I said, hey, I'm a little bit shallow on the way we deliver. I want to reinforce this so this is smoother. I want to add more content to my training program. I want to really change the way we deliver this stuff so I can get everything tight right now. I don't let any type of slump or anything, and you said it before about Chris Root, if I'm bored, I'm crazy. It's not that I get bored. It's that I get a little concerned. I'm like, all right, where are we the weakest and what can I shore up right now? Promotion is ongoing. It never stops. It just keeps firing. It will never stop, no matter what happens. And that's really hard to do, especially if you're worried about money, especially if you're worried about, how am I going to pay my employees? It's really hard to move out of that and take a step to market yourself when you're in the frame of mind of like the ship is dying. Mm-hmm. But I'll tell you what, if you can just take a little step forward and talk about your products and services and talk about how you help people, you'll feel better because you'll remember why you started your business in the first place. And you won't become paralyzed by this whatever's going on. And you're continuing to expand outwards instead of going back like this and going smaller. We want to keep reaching. We want to keep reaching. And the moment that you stop that is the moment that you lose. So I think I answered your question.
You did. No, you touched on it well. And you said a very interesting word that I like, which is you said out-create the situation. And I thought that was so articulate because that's what we tend not to do. We tend to contract. Oh, my God, everything's going around me. I'm going to contract my operations, contract my activity, contract my mindset, contract everything into a little ball in the corner. The truth is, though, everybody else is contracting because they're all – we're living in this thing of fear, and all of a sudden your reality is shifting or breaking. Like you have a 9-to-5 job if you're a regular individual. All of a sudden now your job is cut. Now you're sitting at home on checks or subsidies or whatever. You're like, what do I do? What do I do? I love what you said. Out-create the situation. The problem is you got too much time on your hands, folks. You got too much time to consume the news, too much time to consume all this fear. I just stay so busy trying to create stuff, and not everything's going to hit. Like I put the show together, dude. We just strapped it together in like 3 hours. Like we're doing a show. What does it look like? I don't know. Let's just do it. The first couple episodes, well, go back and watch Chris Root episode number 1. It got pretty hairy. I won't lie. I was doing some funny ass stuff. But we refined the process as we went. We refined what we were doing as we went. We asked for feedback from our audience. They gave us feedback, and then we refined to make sure that it was a great communication between us and them, and it was valuable. So I think if we focus on creating value in whatever capacity that looks like, that's how you get out of situations. Because I think the mind is such a beautiful thing, man. We have so much ability, but so many people give the mind such small problems to focus on every day, all day, right? Oh, I got this $16 hydro bill. And you got this amazing machine up here that focuses on a $16 problem when you could be like, dude, I could go create something. Create a show, create a course. I could just talk vocally. I could just be whatever. So what do you think about that whole creation thing? Because I want you to keep going on that point. It's such an interesting way to put it.
Yeah, well, I mean, so you may or may not remember this, but so about 8 years ago, I was homeless and my whole life tanked. And it was because, number one, I wasn't doing what I was supposed to be doing, and I wasn't creating anything. I was just a mess. Like I was totally off of everything. And I remember laying in bed for days. Like I was staying at a friend's place. I mean, actually, no, I was in another country, sleeping on the hardwood floor. And I remember thinking to myself, okay, how did I end up here? Obviously I ended up here because I didn't do something I was supposed to do. Okay. Or I didn't handle something I was supposed to handle. That was like an awareness point for me. I was like, oh, then the second thing I looked at was like, all right, what could I be doing right now? So for me to create a situation where you can continuously expand is that you want to operate so fast that nothing can really affect you, more or less. You want to keep making content. You want to keep writing articles. Just start reinvesting that time back in. And the moments when I did nothing, or I felt stuck, or I was paralyzed and I felt like I couldn't move, those were the toughest moments for me to have to get up and do something about it. Right? You got two choices. And I remember a friend of mine who was helping me through that situation. He's like, I wanted to give up and I was like literally bawling outside my friend's apartment. And he said, you really don't have any other choice.
Right.
What other choice do you have? You got one other choice. That's just to give up entirely. That's just to go live on the street. That's the other option. You have no other choice but to go upwards. What do you want to do? And that really stuck with me. And even when situations get tough, the first thing I'm like, well, what choice do I have right now? Well, I mean, what do I really have to, what am I going to do here? Okay. I can really get upset about it. And yeah, am I perfect? No. Do I get upset? Of course I do. Do I go through struggle? Of course. I had to handle a situation that cost me $45,000. I didn't even know I had that money. I was like, okay, I'll handle that. Good, done. And then we skyrocketed. So stuff happens, but you got two choices with it. And this goes back to the creation thing. It's like, am I going to promote my company? Am I going to help someone? Am I going to communicate more? What am I communicating? Some people go out and they participate in gossip on social media about other people. I don't participate in any of that. If you're promoting controversy, shame on you. Shame on you for promoting controversy of any kind from anyone. It has nothing to do with you. It has nothing to do with your brand. It damages your brand, and you're forever labeled as somebody that promotes controversy.
Yeah.
A lot of controversy happening too in the last few months that
Sure.
I saw. I was like,
Sure.
this is crazy. People texting me about stuff. I'm like, why are you texting me? This has nothing to do with me.
Right.
And I don't care.
Right.
And I'm over here building my company, right?
Yeah.
So you got to stop and think to yourself, what are you actively participating in and allowing yourself to participate in? Because you're the one that's doing it. That's a hard thing to confront. And I've had to confront that so many times. Oh, I'm the one doing this. Well, okay. All right. Yeah, I'm being lazy. All right. I'm not reinforcing my business. I'm not doing what I'm supposed to do. You know, I'm relying on the government check. You could go work for companies right now. I'll give you an example. You could bring business to me and I pay $500 referrals on closed deals. You bring me 3 of those, you make $1,500. You just made $1,500. The stimulus check just made you $1,200. What if you did that 3 times a week? See, now it becomes a number game. I'm coming off a promotion. I'm going into how I think about numbers right now. But, you know, now it's a numbers game. It's like, all right, cool. If I close 4 of those a month, that's $2,000. I was making $1,800 a month before at my other job. Wow, I can make more money by helping somebody else. Or maybe, you know, like there's so many ways to get creative with it. Like, just look, they're there. Ask entrepreneurs. Ask you, Ben, how could I help you right now? Dude, I'll give you 10% of whatever you bring me.
Love
whatever.
that.
Ask
Freaking
Chris
love
Root,
that.
hey,
Going.
I got a deal. I don't know anything about real estate. I need to make money right now. I don't know anything. I just know that there's a deal, and I think there might be there's opportunities there, and that's where you outcreate the situation. Okay.
I love that, man. You
You
just
see what I'm
said something
saying? You
so
see the
powerful.
mentality.
Powerful.
It goes from being to okay, let me try this. Let me try this. Let me try this. And dude, if you made $200 today, when I make $200, I'm like, wow, that's exciting.
That's
I make
$200.
$40. I got a product that's $40. I get excited over $40.
Yep.
I mean, we're making a lot more than that every month, but I love it all because it stacks up.
You said
What if you
something
get 10
really
people
cool.
to give you $40 today?
Ah.
$400.
Dude,
What if
it's
you do that?
powerful.
What if you do that for 7 days? That's $2,800 in a week. What if you do that 3 times? Where are we at? Almost 8 G's a month now. Look at the insanity connect. That's just communication and promotion. Hey, I'm here. I got a product. I want to help you. Hey, I don't have a job right now, but I want to help out in any way I can. I'm great with people. What can I do? You know, like that's the thing. There's options.
I love that.
I had a friend, and
you're
I'll leave
spitting
you
gold.
with this one.
No,
I'll
keep going, man. You're spitting gold. The rant is good, man.
Yeah,
I like the rant.
I'll leave you with this one thing. I had a friend, her name was Michael, and she told me, I remember I was texting her. I was sleeping in the backseat of my car in LA. And I was like, God, I'm stuck. I don't know what to do. I don't have any friends. I don't have this. I don't have that. She said, you are never stuck unless you want to be stuck. And that was like 8 years ago. And I've never forgotten that. That was the most powerful thing anybody's ever said to me was, you're never actually stuck. There's always an option. And there is. If you think about it like that, okay, you lost your job, running out of cash. I've been there 3 times already in my life, and I got out of each one fine. Now, what do? What options do I have? Let's go.
Hey, it's Ben Humble. Thanks for checking out the show. If you like what my guest is talking about and you're getting massive value from it, then scroll to the bottom, open up the description, and follow them on social media. Support them, connect with them. Just scroll down there, click the link, and let's roll. Stay humble. Dude, powerful, man. I'm giving you... I love this stuff. You're speaking real life into things, and you're touching on so many amazing points. So, folks, you're going to want to go back and watch this a couple times, and you know, because there's so much value in this, and just want to articulate some of the things that you brought up that I think is so important. You know, a couple of things. It's about, you know, we're living the economy, right? The economy of one. If you can't focus on your own cup and fill your own cup, you can't expect to help other people. If you're consuming everybody else's stuff, you can't expect to get ahead yourself. And you said something really cool on, you know, a talk I did a couple of days ago on tactically speaking, there's 2 things you can adjust in your vocabulary, and I think your vocabulary is one of the most important things to a human being. Instead of I can't, just replace that one thing with how can I. It's hard.
Oh, yeah, I remember
it
that.
sucks.
That was a great video.
It's terrible. I know, because we were speaking at the same event there for Conquer the Crisis, and it was how can I? It's that simple, folks. People say, how is Robert so successful and all these people successful and Chris and whatever? I think it's because somewhere, somehow, we just go, how can I? I don't have time to complain. I don't have time because you know what? It's going to feel bad anyways. If you're going to feel bad, then feel bad, but don't be broke. Like, just take the time to feel bad later. Take the time to deal with the emotional consequence later. But don't have emotional consequence, feel bad, and be broke and do nothing. Like, you don't need to do both. I think you can just, how can I? I don't like it. It's not what I want, but I'm going to move. I'm moving. I'm creating. I'm getting that job. You said something so cool, man, which was this. I think any entrepreneur, if you call them and say, I want to bring value, I don't know how to do that. What can I do to bring value and how can I get paid doing it? I think just about any entrepreneur can give you some kind of answer. Dude, it's powerful. It's freaking powerful, man. Because you're right.
And it's easy. It's very simple. And I mean, everybody that messages me, I always respond. We always talk. We always have a conversation. And that how can I thing, when I said that, like, I mean, trust me, there are days when I'm like, I don't want to, I can't, no, and then you're just like, oh, how can I? And you gotta just kind of physically move the arm to pick you gotta just take over.
That's right.
It's horrible. Like, it's painful. Okay, it's not painful, but it's like,
But I think just getting in motion. How can I just put you in motion? I can't.
How can I? And you're like, well, I guess I could do a video or I could message somebody. All right, let's do one, and there you go.
Yeah, something, folks, something. It's the smallest little granular thing. And, there's a book out there called The Slight Edge, and it just talks about doing, small little things consistently over time. I got actually that from Chris. I was introduced to that book. If you just do the small things over time, eventually there's a compounding effect that happens, and you're gonna go up. And I think the reason, what I understand from the book was, the reason why we don't do the things that we should is because it's just as easy to do them today as it is to just say, I'll do it tomorrow. And then when tomorrow comes, you just don't do it. Something else comes up, some other situation, some other nonsense. But if you just do today, create one thing. Create one thing every day. And within a year, you've created over 300 things. They're not all going to stick. Some of them are going to suck. They're going to be terrible. Dude, when I first came out, I'm going to tell this story real quick. I met Robert at an event conference, and the dude's like, hey, man, let's do some stuff, And that's when I met you for the first time a couple years ago. And I was like, dude, I'm living in obscurity. I was at 10X. I'm living in obscurity, right? At the Growth Con. And I'm like, I need to do something. I met Chris that same time. He's like, you need to go all out. And prior to this event, Robert, I was quiet, reserved. I think I even told you, I said, Robert, I'm quiet, man. I'm reserved. I don't go out. I'm from a Christian background. I don't do any of that stuff, dude. If I have to choose fame or wealth, I'll just choose wealth every day, yada, yada, yada. And then I realized I can either accept the criticism over my life and just do massive things, or I can just live in fear and never truly push hard enough. And as a result of that exchange with you and with Chris, I came out, dude, and I like music. I bought a fake gold jumpsuit, fake gold teeth, fake gold everything, and I came out as like this real estate humble wholesale. I'm like, I am the wholesale, wholesale. I'm getting them deals done. No jokes, just wholesale. I grind every day because they're not getting paid. I always stay humble, helping sellers every day. And I did this whole thing, and people are like, what the hell? This guy lost his damn mind. But I messed up. But you know what it did? It brought me closer to moving forward in the things that were aligned with who I am. That's why I created the whole humble thing. Now I recognize, dude, I don't have to be a gold fake actor on a stage. I can just be me. I'm loud. I like having fun. I'm boisterous. That's just my nature. But I've given myself permission to live in that light. And I think, what you do is so powerful because, you kind of grant that and give people permission and yourself permission. So just watching you saying that into another person and speaking that into their life is like, okay, we need to act more. So I appreciate you for that, man, because you don't even know that story. That's the first time I'm dropping that story. But you're like, dude, you need to go. You need to blow up, right? But that's what I did. It's exactly what I did.
And again, I mean, I just look at it like I just bring it back to a very, very simple thing, okay? And you don't have to be all crazy. I mean, it's awesome that you did that. I think that's hilarious. But I mean, I just am like, okay, if I got a good product, if I know it helps people, if I'm, not a criminal, and I really created something after really analyzing, watching, observing, then I really have an ethical responsibility to promote that.
Yeah.
Like, it's an ethical thing for yourself. It's like, it's like I got a Ferrari, but I keep it in the garage and I never use it. Boom. That's like painful, right? Yep. And that's also why I went out on my own. It was like, I got a Ferrari, but I'm not using it and I need to use it. And, so it became an ethical point for me of like, in every company that I work with, it is so crucial that I get that across, because it's like, it is that important that you talk. It is that important that you communicate. Promotion fixes sales issues. I track all my promotion. I track all the stats. How many stories did I do today? Post, yada, yada, yada. And the income line on my graph, my phone calls, my emails, and my promotion line, they're neck and neck, and they work together, right? So it drops into what you were saying. It's like, hey, I love that. I gave myself permission. You decided, you said, I'm worth it. I'm going to do it. And that's a wonderful thing. And it's a beautiful thing. And that's what I help people kind of understand is like, that's where it starts. Just that little, I'm going to do this one thing, and I'm going to do another thing. I'm going to stack it up. And all of a sudden a week goes by. You're like, wow, I did all that. Now you feel confident. You're like, wow, I can actually get things done. And that's the same thing in promotion.
Well, and you help spark that. And I think a lot of people have that potential inside of them. They just failed to recognize or failed to do it until somebody says, hey man, it's not that big a deal. Just do it. So could you speak to this as we kind of tie up today? There's a lot of people who, have that same potential. It's me, circa 3 years ago. And they're like, they know they can do this, but they're so afraid of criticism, man. And when you say promotion, they're like, their butt goes like this. Right? Sorry for the visual, but that's what happens. People just get so scared. I got to throw some jokes in there. People get so scared, that's them. What do you say to people? Because I've got my own take, and I'll preface with this, then let you jump into it. I've got this whole thought that when I'm 70 years old, sitting in a nursing home, I'm going to ask myself one of two questions. Did I do everything possible to live in my faith and my calling and do the things that I was destined to do? And if not, was it worth not doing that? Like, am I so afraid of like little Stevie in grade 10 who picked on me that my entire life I was afraid of that one critic, that one hater, that one whatever, that I never truly pushed hard enough because the criticism and the fear of the doubt, suppressed me and made me live in this kind of oppression? Could you give us maybe some thoughts on that? Because I'm sure you've been down this road before here. How can people start thinking about this topic in your opinion?
Right. So, I love the word that you use there, suppressed. I mean, that happens so much, and it stops people. That's the sad thing. People stop. And that's what it's exactly designed to do. It's designed to get you to keep quiet and not talk. And, I've had my fair share of that. And, here's the thing. When I know that what I do helps people, you're almost bulletproof. Here's why. You're bulletproof because it's a clean communication. It's a clean cycle. It's a clean experience. And if I'm not actively going out and trying to create antagonism, one of the things that I talk about in my marketing and all that stuff is do not give people a reason to attack. What does that mean? Is it totally preventable? No, somebody's going to say something, but I'm just saying, like, there's a very fine line between arrogance and actually being helpful. Okay. And you could fall into it very easily. And so when I teach someone, I'm like, all right, think about how this is going to be received by everyone, the people that like you, the people that don't like you. How can you position it in such a way? And this isn't even a hard thing to do. It's not a thought process. It's not anything. It's actually taking responsibility for everything that could happen. So what do I mean by that? If I'm going to communicate or if I'm going to promote and I'm willing to be like, okay, somebody might not like that. What could that person actually do if you actively feel like, okay, I can have that. I can have somebody say something. All right, whatever. Okay. And then being able to rise one step above it and see it for what it actually is, which is here you have a person, you or whoever, that wants to promote. They've been around a lot of people that like you said, suppress them, held them down and all this stuff. The second that you start to hit the right level, they're going to start firing. And when they start to fire, that's the time to turn on more promotion. Boom. That's the time to promote even harder. That's the time, instead of doing one video a day, to do like 5 and blast it. Because what's going to happen is you're forcing someone who's not taking responsibility for what they know they should be doing to look at someone that's taking responsibility for what they know they should be doing. And in turn, because they're not doing what they're supposed to be doing, they have to shut you down and shut you up because they can't stand the fact that you're actually doing something. And that's where it starts. They're like, I should be doing it. And because they can't even allow themselves to do it, they see you, and the way that they make themselves right by you doing it is to try to take you out. Now, Is it easy? Not really. Is it going to happen on a grand scale? No. I'll be honest with you. One person out of like millions, maybe if that, will say something. 98% of the time, made up statistic in my viewpoint, people are happy you just talked.
Yeah.
They're just happy. And if they don't want to follow you, they don't follow you. Okay, cool. It's like, you're not going to be friends with this guy? Cool. You're not friends. Let him go do his thing. Big deal. This guy doesn't like you. Okay, you're not going to die. Let him go. It's fine. It's cool. Let him go. Whatever, you know? The other thing is that you cannot possibly make everybody like you. And I was guilty of this. I wanted everybody to like me. I wanted everybody to, you know, oh, Rob, you know, I like having happy people around. But you know what? Not everybody's going to like me. And I have to say, no, I'm not going to do this. I'm not going to tolerate this. This is a decision. We're going to do this decision. And I'm willing to have somebody say, I don't like you after the fact. But at least for me, when I go to bed at night or when I wake up in the morning, I'm not sitting there in my head going, I should have. I'm inside of me upset because I didn't do what I knew I was supposed to do. So be willing to have somebody be like, okay, you know, all right, this guy's upset. All right, here we go again. Try to laugh about it because it's 9 times out of 10, they put cap locks on and they try to attack you and you're like, ooh, cap locks. Oh, man, he's pissed
That's
off
right.
now.
He's pissed. Meanwhile, they just put it on. Dude,
what can that person actually do? And if it bothers you, block them. I block people all the time. I'm like, goodbye.
Yeah.
You know?
And just
I get rid of some people because of what they say and what they promote. I'm like, dude, I'm surprised that you even said that. And now I cannot be friends with you because that is so bad.
Yeah.
Like, and be willing to control your space. And the last thing is it going to happen? Probably. Is it going to happen on a big scale? Unless you're a major, you know what, it's probably not going to be that bad. Because 9 times out of 10, most people will help you. Most people will support you. And the people that turn and might surprise you. You might be like, wow, I can't believe that Betty Sue over there didn't like me. She didn't like you the whole time. All of a sudden you showed up and now she didn't like you. Now it's just public and visible. Get rid of it. Who cares? Last thing, the thing that I protect the most, my most protected asset is my attention. My most protected asset is my attention and my space. And I don't allow things in and around me that are negative, that attack, that are even slightly a little bit of a little. And you know what those feel like. You're like, oh, that feels rough. Just protect it, okay? And you'll be happy that you promote it. Just take responsibility. Just always go back to, I'm here to help. And if you can keep that in your mind, doesn't matter what anybody says. I know a lot of people say that, but just fall back on that. It'll help you out.
Wow, man. I love that, dude. So much powerful advice today, folks. And, you know, I'm very thankful for this conversation because a lot of it resonates with me personally. So I know it resonates with a lot of other people that are out there. And, you know, I think if you take this stuff to heart, folks, I mean, there's a maturity that comes from this conversation that if you start really looking at it, you'll start really evaluating your own, you know, your own opinions, your own self-worth. Because a lot of this stuff comes down to, are you free to be yourself? Yes or no? And, you know, when you're creating and you're in that environment of just growth, I think there's a certain happiness that comes to it, man. Like artists for me, dude, they're happy people because we're able to keep creating and keep moving things forward, take nothing and make something beautiful out of it. And I think we each have a garden. It's our job to cultivate the garden that we have, not look at the oasis of the person next to us that maybe has something that we think they do, but maybe they don't. Robert, this has been powerful, man. What is the best place? I know you're all over social media, but what's the best place people can connect with you after the show, my man?
Sure. So you can follow me on any social platform at Robert Syslo Jr. You can go to my website, SysloVentures.com, or you can email me, Robert@SysloVentures.com. I respond to everyone.
Hey, it's Ben Humble. Thanks for checking out the show. If you like what my guest is talking about and you're getting massive value from it, then scroll to the bottom, open up the description, and follow them on social media. Support them, connect with them. Just scroll down there, click the link, and let's roll. Stay humble.
Make sure to subscribe to Ben on YouTube so you can stay up to date on everything Humble, featuring daily episodes of the Humble Podcast and weekly video content providing motivation, real estate strategies, and personal development for everyday life. Also, follow Ben on Facebook and Instagram for daily interactions. Check out humble.ceo and download a chapter of Ben's new book, From Communism to Capitalism, absolutely free.